In the quiet, unassuming village of Morberry, nestled amidst rolling hills and meandering streams, a young lad named Balduin was on the cusp of a momentous occasion, or at least, he thought he was. Today, he believed he was turning 16, but the concept of a fixed birthday was as elusive to him as a leprechaun's pot of gold. Balduin's peculiar way of celebrating his birthday had become a source of amusement for the villagers, who never quite knew when the festivity would take place. It was only when his ever-practical Uncle Jonathan remembered that the time had come to celebrate, that the day was marked with merriment. Uncle Jonathan, the village's esteemed blacksmith, was a pillar of the community, known and respected by all. With brawny arms forged by years of shaping metal, he was a man of tradition and practicality. He had raised Balduin after his parents had passed away, instilling in him the values of hard work and dedication. However, these virtues clashed with Balduin's unwavering dream. Since childhood, Balduin had been enchanted by tales of knights in shining armor, quests for honor and glory, and the legendary Round Table of King Arthur. He imagined himself among the bravest and noblest, seated beside the valiant knights who served a just and righteous king. As the years passed, his dream had morphed into an all-consuming ambition, which, in turn, had become an unrelenting obsession. Now, at what he believed was the ripe age of 16, Balduin felt a burning urgency to become a man, as the knightly virtues dictated. This ambition, he believed, could never be fulfilled by the life of a blacksmith, despite the longing looks and fervent wishes of Uncle Jonathan, who hoped to see his nephew take up the hammer and anvil by his side. The rift between uncle and nephew was deep, as Balduin's heart was set on a path that led far from the comforting glow of the smithy's fire. But fate had a peculiar way of intervening in the lives of dreamers. It all began just a few days ago when, quite by chance, Balduin found himself in the village square. It was a day like any other, with the sun casting its warm, golden glow upon the rustic buildings. As he gazed around, something extraordinary caught his eye. Knights. Knights of the Round Table. At least, he believed they were. The knights he had revered in tales, the legends that had danced through his mind since childhood, were suddenly very real, very tangible, and very much present in the village. Balduin had never ventured far from Morberry, and the sight of these enigmatic figures in their shining armor, though awe-inspiring, left him perplexed. He couldn't discern which among them were the actual Knights of the Round Table, and which were mere travelers passing through. For the first time in his life, reality and legend blurred into one indistinguishable tapestry. The names of these knights, Arthur, Lancelot, Gawain, and others, resonated within Balduin's mind like a symphony of tales and exploits. However, his youth and naivety left him powerless to distinguish one from the other. Yet the mere presence of these legendary figures in his humble village reignited the smoldering flames of his ambition. As Balduin gazed upon the knights, a world once considered distant and unattainable now felt tantalizingly close. Camelot, the legendary city of Arthur, was not too far away. In fact, it was within reach, a journey that seemed challenging yet entirely plausible for a determined young lad like Balduin. With the echoes of clinking armor and the distant sound of a blacksmith's hammer as a backdrop, Balduin made a silent promise to himself. He would set out on a quest to join the Round Table, to be a part of those incredible legends that had fueled his dreams. For in the heart of this medieval village, where legends mingled with reality, the extraordinary adventures of Balduin, the dreamer who believed his birthday was but a fleeting moment, were about to begin. Uncle Jonathan stood by the doorway, his rugged hands gripping the worn wooden frame as he watched Balduin prepare to embark on a journey into the unknown. He knew, deep down, that he could never hold Balduin back if the lad was determined to chase his dream of becoming a knight. His nephew's heart was set on a path far removed from the blacksmith's forge that had defined their family for generations. All Jonathan could do was instill in him the values of life, honesty, hard work, and respect for others, lessons learned through years of crafting metal into tools and armor. Jonathan's heart swelled with pride and sorrow as he reflected on the young man he had helped shape. He was not just teaching Balduin the trade of a blacksmith, but the essence of being an honorable and virtuous person. Yet, Balduin's unquenchable ambition to become a knight surpassed all else, an ambition that seemed destined to lead him away from the village that had been his home. The day had arrived, as suddenly as a thunderclap, when Balduin decided that the time was now. The flames of his ambition had raged within him long enough, and the prospect of a life in Camelot had become a tantalizing mirage, shimmering on the horizon. But Balduin, with his head filled with dreams and his heart brimming with courage, had no inkling of the challenges that lay ahead. As the first faint light of dawn painted the sky, Balduin took a deep breath, his pack slung over his shoulder. Beside him stood his faithful, albeit aging, steed. The donkey's ears perked up, as if sensing the gravity of the moment. Jonathan observed the scene with a heavy heart, though his face bore an encouraging smile. Jonathan understood that this moment was inevitable. He had anticipated it, knowing that his nephew's unwavering determination would propel him far from the hearth of their home. But as Balduin turned to say his goodbyes, a swell of emotion surged within Jonathan, and he felt an inexplicable sadness. He had hoped that Balduin might someday embrace the blacksmith's craft, to carry on the family legacy, but life had other plans. Balduin, too, was choked with emotion. His uncle's words of encouragement echoed in his ears, urging him to chase his dreams relentlessly. Yet what Balduin did not foresee was that his adventure as a knight would begin much sooner than he could have ever imagined. The road ahead was fraught with uncertainties, and he had yet to decipher the path that led to Camelot. As he ventured into the rolling hills and verdant meadows, he couldn't help but feel the weight of uncertainty pressing down upon him, mingling with the heady thrill of embarking on an epic quest. As Balduin rode further away from the village of Morberry, he clung to his dream of becoming a knight. The vision of the Round Table and the legends that inhabited it danced before his eyes. But life had an uncanny way of surprising him, and his true mettle was about to be tested in the most unexpected of ways. Balduin was destined for a series of encounters that would test his courage, wit, and honor, paving the way for his extraordinary journey into the realms of chivalry and magic. The day had come, and the adventure awaited Balduin, more thrilling and perilous than he had ever imagined. As he galloped forth into the realm of the unknown, his destiny remained a mystery, one that would unravel in ways he could scarcely fathom. Chapter 2: The Path to Camelot. Balduin's journey into the unknown had begun with uncertainty as vast as the horizon stretching before him. He didn't know how far he would have to travel, and he certainly didn't possess the courage to carry him through to his destination. In his heart, he believed that leaving was the hardest part, and the rest would somehow fall into place. However, the lad lacked a sense of measure, as he only knew he had gone farther than ever before from his beloved village, the place he had only ever known. With every step, the landscape transformed, leading him deeper into unfamiliar territory. Balduin rode on, far past the boundaries of his comfort zone, until he sensed that he had crossed the point of no return. The memories of his village, its cobbled streets and warm hearths, were etched vividly in his mind. It was the nucleus of his existence, the only life he had ever known, and the world beyond was as mysterious as the night sky. The first day of his journey was slowly bidding adieu, and the young knight in the making had begun to contemplate the need for rest. The sun's descent painted the sky with hues of crimson and gold, casting long shadows across the path he tread. The world seemed to blur in the waning light, and a shroud of solitude enveloped him. It was then that a chilling scream pierced the tranquil air. The scream, though distant, was unmistakably that of a girl. Balduin's first instinct was to convince himself that the plight of a stranger was none of his concern. After all, he was a novice, a mere traveler in search of his destiny, and it was not his place to meddle in others' affairs. However, as the scream continued to echo in the stillness, he couldn't quell the nagging thought that pierced through his mind. What would a true knight, a paragon of honor and valor, do in this situation? Would he stand idly by, believing it had nothing to do with him? The answer to that question became clear as day in the young adventurer's heart. Balduin halted his steed, and turned toward the source of the disturbance. Determination welled up within him, and his heart raced with newfound purpose. Without hesitation, he guided his trusty donkey toward the origin of the scream, a sense of duty and chivalry driving him forward. In the distance, he spotted a grand house, undoubtedly the residence of a person of some rank. The walls of the structure loomed in the gathering dusk, and Balduin's thoughts raced. With every step, the stakes seemed to grow higher, and his nerves twanged with apprehension. Yet, his unwavering resolve carried him onward. The girl's cry, once a distant sound, became more urgent, and the call for help echoed through the evening air. Balduin knew that he couldn't ignore it, for this was his moment to prove himself, to take the first step on the path toward knighthood. As the grand house drew nearer, his heart hammered in his chest, and the world around him faded away, leaving only the singular focus of his newfound mission. In the twilight's embrace, Balduin's adventure had taken an unexpected turn, setting the stage for the true test of his mettle, a test that would shape the destiny he had embarked upon. With every galloping stride, he drew closer to the girl in need, and closer to the realization of his long-cherished dream, which was beginning to unfold in ways he could never have foreseen. Balduin's heart pounded as he approached the grand house where the girl's distressed cries had emanated. He had secured his horse to a sturdy tree, ensuring his trusty steed would remain hidden from view. With each step he took closer to the house, he felt a peculiar mix of exhilaration and trepidation. He aimed to stay hidden from any prying eyes, using the cover of the encroaching twilight to his advantage. Moving stealthily, Balduin edged nearer, his cautious footfalls breaking the eerie silence of the evening. His eyes darted from shadow to shadow, searching for any sign of danger. The breeze rustled through the trees, carrying the scent of blooming flowers, a stark contrast to the urgency that swelled within him. As Balduin inched closer to the imposing structure, he thought to himself that he would go only as far as his courage allowed. Then, a little more. And a bit more after that. With one foot firmly set on the path to pressing forward, and the other poised to flee if danger loomed.